recording. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, this is Sakila here, and we are from Hosur, and we'll be coming to Aarohi coming Monday. So we thought we'll attend this webinar too.
Cool. That's awesome. Looking forward to meeting you all.
Me too.
Hi there. Hi, this is Shrikant Arji from Bangalore. I hope I am audible.
Yes, Shrikant. Okay. Continue, please.
Yeah, born and raised in Hyderabad, settled in Bangalore, now unsettled. So I've been a traveler, I have a kid who's old, and it's been like 3.5 years that he's been on school. And we travel a lot, and we learn a lot of things, and we share. How I got to know about Aarohi is during one of the workshops that I was conducting. I had a participant called Leela. She's the one who attended this event, and she's the one who got me included in Aarohi group. And I think this is my first webinar that I'm attending. Thank you so much. I'm just anticipating for a good experience over there. I quit my high-paying corporate job in Bangalore in 2011 and tried to move towards more sustainable living. Just now, I've got no job, no business, nothing, but just trying to learn, share energies, and just live on this culture. So that's about myself.
Wow, interesting. Okay. So maybe down the line, we will call you as the guest.
Okay. I'm not a big person. I'm definitely not a big guy to be a guest, but I'm just a learner.
Oh, right, everybody is a big guy to be a guest here. So humble of you. Okay. And we have Andrea from Bangalore, who's got 2 kids and want to know about homeschooling. Superb. And Sakib also from Bangalore. So a lot of people from Bangalore. Also looking forward to visiting Aarohi. Great.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I'm Lakshmi. I have a 10-year-old daughter whose best friend comes to Aarohi.
Mm-hmm.
So Smriti is her bestie.
Okay, sure.
And so I attended Jagrati, me and my husband. So we are blown away with Jagrati and Aarohi's motto. So I'm curious to visit Aarohi campus, and that's why I'm here attending. I think I've been following Aarohi for a year or so through FB and with Friday with RJ and all that. So I'm looking forward to meet you guys. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the way we will do this webinar, and by the way, if anybody else wants to introduce, please go ahead and interrupt me, no issues, is that I'll do a very quick introduction to what I call as open learning. We have Nayan from Bangalore also, awesome. So I'll do a very quick introduction to open learning and very little about Aarohi in about hopefully 7-8 minutes. And then I'll hand over the the mic and the video to Chinmayie and Ravindra to tell their story. Neha has raised hand. Neha, would you like to come on mic and say something? I see a raised hand.
Hi. Hi, Chinmayie. This is Neha. I know Chinmayie from the baby wearing days and have modeled for Soul Fling, me and my baby.
Awesome.
I just saw and I was like, I have to be here. I'm kind of driving, but I just wanted to know about both their experiences. They're really inspirational people that we truly love. So,
oh yes.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Great.
Hi, Neha. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.
So nice to hear that. Thank you.
Super. Right. Awesome. Right. So what as I said, what we'll do is I'll do a quick intro and then we'll hand over to Chinmayie and Ravindra. They will talk a little about themselves and then we'll move into question answers with them. So at that time, I'll request you not to ask questions about Aarohi, rather ask them questions about their journey and about their open learning, unschooling, whatever you want to call it. And then maybe, so this should take us till about 6 o'clock. And then after 6 o'clock, I will be here as much time as you want me to answer questions about Aarohi, or more specific about general questions about open learning or unschooling. Yeah. So we'll do it that way. So we'll first maximize whatever interaction with Chinmayie and Ravindra, and then we will talk about other Aarohi and other stuff. Yeah. So let me quickly take you through right, open learning. So the first thing that I want to quickly clarify, that there are lots of terms. Some people call it unschooling, homeschooling, free schooling, open learning, blah, blah, blah. Let's not get lost in these terms. These terms don't mean anything. What really means is this little continuum, if you see it on your screen, is on one side is the structured kind of curriculum driven education system that we have, which is typically the schooling. And on the other end of the spectrum is the no structure, no curriculum, where the child kind of drives the whole thing. So different families could be at, kind of along this continuum at different points of time. So don't bother about the name. Still, you will know that, there is a wide continuum available for you to explore as your child's or children go along in this journey of open learning, or learning rather. So you can make it as open or as structured as you want to, and everything goes. So that's the beauty of life, I would say. Yeah. So we started our journey with this very simple question, what is the purpose of education? And this was obviously many years back, almost 15, 20 years back. And the answer that we kind of got was that, hey, it isn't really about learning or earning, but really to us, it is all about living. And that is how we look at education, as a synonym to living. Learning, education, living, all are the same thing for us. Yeah. And if we take that thought that, okay, if it's education is about living, then the obvious thought comes is, hey, each child or each one of us should be leading our lives, because that's what life is. So then we need to let the child be the leader, which the child is. The typical 1 year, 2-year-old is a very strong leader, right? Till we start taking up the leadership onto ourselves and say, no, we'll tell you what to do, kind of thing. So the interesting thing is, when we think of the child as the leader, we come up with 4 thoughts. So the first thought is, hey, if the child is the leader, then why do we need to bind the child with any curriculum? Why can't we let the child literally decide what the child wants to learn? So that's the first thought that is kind of fundamental to open learning. The second thought, obviously, is if the child is going to decide what to learn, then let the child also decide how to learn. Whether the child wants a teacher or a guide, or the child wants to do it himself, or check it out on YouTube, or ask a peer, or however, or learn in a group together doing something. So we don't need to worry about, teaching the child. The child will figure out how the child wants to learn, including the child may want somebody to teach him or her. The third, if you put the first two together, if the child is deciding what and the child is deciding how, then obviously the child should decide whether, this is good enough. Am I good? Am I learning enough, or am I doing good? Am I developing the way I want to develop, and so on. So then there's no need to run through any exams or tests or anything for that matter. And the child learns the whole art of reflection and self-assessment, obviously with feedback from others around, especially the parents. And that's how the child kind of learns this lifelong skill of self-assessment or self-reflection. And if you put these 3 together, then we start thinking or wondering, do we really need school? Do we really need college? Do we really need degree? And I think we today have the perfect guests to talk about whether do we even need any of these. So I'll leave that part. I'll not talk about this part and leave it for Ravindra and Chinmayie to talk about that. So what it leads to is children who are learning based on themselves, right, rather than based on anything else. So I have a very quick video of some children and adults in Aarohi, made by one of the Aarohi children. It's just a 1 minute quick video just to give you a glimpse of how open learning happens out here. So just watch.
Connecting with people is amazing.
I like chit-chatting with my friends while eating.
An opportunity to take all the guests around the tour, around the campus.
Currently, I'm working on improving myself so I can play in a club next year.
I get resources and support to fulfill my passion for sketching.
I sketch many things of animals, birds.
In Aarohi, I am a guest and I can find my space here, pursuing my interest on upcycling. I drum to express my emotion and it makes me feel lighter. In bird watching, I learn a lot of things. What is color of bird, and
I like the time when I spend with the community playing sports.
I spend time doing projects related to cinematography and video editing.
I like organizing trips in Aarohi क्योंकि your opportunity is to organize trips.
video making is awesome. It's productive and you get an awesome outcome.
I like to do electrical work. I've put many.
I connect with the planning here, gives me clarity.
I like playing with the cats. I learn crochet and teach others crochet.
எனக்கு சமைக்கிறதுக்கு இங்க ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
All the resources here are new to me to explore.
Right, so that was a quick glimpse of Aarohi, or rather children in Aarohi and adults in Aarohi doing what they like doing. Now, just expand this whole idea into that it's not just each one is doing on their own, but we are all part of a little community, because the more we have people around us, we get to make connections, we get to collaborate with each other, do different things together. And obviously, when there is a larger group of lots of families together, there's a lot of coaching, mentoring, guiding, supporting each other. So that's what Aarohi is taking the concept of open learning and then kind of putting it in the whole context of a community where we are together creating, learning, living. That's what Aarohi is in the sense in the context of community. So later on, I can talk about how you can come to the campus if you would like to do that to experience open learning, or you can be part of Aarohi even from your city, from wherever you are in this, literally in this world, not just in the country, but anywhere else. So we are definitely available. We as a community work also online as well as through the campus, right? So that's a quick introduction to open learning and to the community which we are called Aarohi. But I think that's more than enough for now. I shall stop my screen sharing and over to Chinmayie and Ravindra. All yours.
Thank you, Ratnesh. Thank you for having us here. This is the first time we are ever doing this. So this is new to us and it's interesting. So I'm Chinmayie. This is Ravindra here, and we live in Bangalore and we have 2 kids. Our daughter Aarohi is 11 years old. She's going to be 12 next month. Son Adya is 7 years old, and we are relatively new to Aarohi community. We've been part of Aarohi X for a few months now, and we have come to the campus a couple of times, and it's been great. And here we are today to talk about what brings us here. So I guess we'll start with you and then move on to where we are today.
So I think lots of parents were curious to hear my story. Like most parents, I get a lot of questions. What will my child do? Where will they lead? Where will they end up? Is it okay? So many questions that they fear about. So I'm a living example as to it's been the most brilliant journey. So I'll go back. I was born in Bangalore. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, with 5 siblings, the middle class, a family. My parents, for some strange reason, decided to put the 2 brothers into Valley School. And my sisters ended up in some local schools. And much later, when I asked my dad why he did that, he said, yeah, I hope that you guys become engineers and take care of me. And but I disappointed my father really badly. But after 12th, I said, I'm not going to study. And he was quite shattered, and he still is quite shattered, I think. I guess going through Valley and having some of its philosophy, somewhere it got engraved into my head, though we quite disliked some of the classes that we had. It was called culture classes. And where we spoke about Krishnamurti's philosophy, a lot of questioning. But I didn't realize that this had such an impact over my life when I came out of Valley School. So when I came out of Valley School, I was very sure that I didn't want to do the regular academics. My dad forced me to get into engineering. I ran away from there, and so finally he had to give up on me. And so I was very interested in. I have a very visual brain. I'm not a logical person. In maths, if you ask about geometry, and I can do really well because I can visualize those things, but I can't, figure out what the hell is a plus b squared. I really don't. I don't understand that kind of logic at all. Which, as parents, they didn't see. So I had to somewhere, work on myself, have the courage to go tell my parents, look, I'm not interested in this kind of education, but I was really interested in design and architecture in particular. So I started doing models of architecture buildings. Architects, some of them saw it in this brilliant work that I had done. From there on, I started designing buildings, got very good projects, till where in one of the very big projects that happened in Bangalore, they kicked out Bangalore's best architect, and they said they gave the contract to me to design. And that was a bit of a shocking to the architect community, and they made fun of me. I was 19. At that point, because I was a bit shy, I said, oh, architecture, these people are really bad. And I somehow moved into graphic, and just 2 years later, my works got me some awards in the US, in Canada, Europe. And I said, hey, instead of architecture where you design and it takes almost 1 year to finish a project, I could do things much faster, and I was so curious to learn these things. All my learning was completely self-taught. I would go buy books, read about them. We didn't have internet then. And much later, when the internet did come to me, I was just ridiculously slow. So books and just self-interest and questioning. I think the whole questioning that I had somewhere got it from my Valley's teaching really helped me, because everywhere I questioned, like, why does a house have a foundation? Why should a foundation be in a particular way? Why are bricks laid in a particular manner? What is mortar? So all these questions I was asking, and my learning was just about questioning everything that I liked. And the same thing that happened into design. I questioned, I had never seen a computer. I got somebody else to do my design, and then they would put it together in Photoshop, Illustrator, and I would get into printing press. Luckily, my uncle had printing press, and I could go and work there. Learned a lot in the printing press. While learning, I could see a lot of other works that came into the printing press, books, as I told you. So this is what really kept me going. I mean, anything that came, I would say yes. So while I was designing, I've designed all kinds of products, from footwear I've done, to bottles, mineral water bottles, and strangely, somehow, I don't know how, but I ended up having a tech company doing work for defense. I have no engineering background, nothing, but here I was doing some work on helicopters, we did. I've done work on the F-35, Boeing, Sikorsky, all these guys were my clients. We were making learning system. A guy who hates, regular schooling. I was actually making a lot of learning systems for the defense and medical industry, and also for young people. And again, technology is it's brilliant. All these are tools. It's just that you need to know how to use them and what you can use that tool. It's not like, okay, technology means it's only for coding. So I had people who would code for me, and I had my own logic as to why that's right code or a bad code. But I ran that for a few years, and I realized this is not what I really want. I don't like corporate life. I decided to give that away, and that's when I met Chinmayie. And we both really like movies, food. So we used to always hang out and talk about movies, food, and traveled a lot. When we had Alaru, once she was born, I decided that I'd go back to some consulting. So I was consulting as a technology and a design guy, a brand guy. When Alaru was born, I personally knew that I didn't want my child to go through the formal education. I mean, I had a lot of reasons for that. Then Chinmayie also felt that, it's not the best. We started looking at homeschooling. Alaru was homeschooled till around 8. Then we moved into a place called Good Earth in Bangalore. My friend close to Good Earth, she started an alternative school. Again, was exposed to Valley School, CFL. And Alaru knew her. So we went, Alaru started being there for some time. She was there for, I think, about 2 years. And the pandemic hit. Now we are like, okay, what does Alaru want to do?
Okay, sorry, somebody is saying audio is not working. Ratnesh, can you please confirm if you can?
Yeah, audio is absolutely perfect.
Oh,
okay, fine. Okay, somebody has messaged, Lalit is messaging saying audio is not working. Sorry to.
It's working for us perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, our 2 children are right now, daughter goes to Aarohi. Son is 7, and we said, please just, go live your life. Don't get into.
There's no school happening
there's no school.
right now.
No,
yeah.
We don't want to do Zoom classes. No, just go live life. So that's just brief of me. And Chinmayie will tell you the other side of her story, which is different from mine.
Yeah, different because I went to a conventional school and went through the grind of regular schooling, and I think I studied in a small town, and I went to a state syllabus small school. I don't really remember liking school much, but I did fairly well. I mean, I was a good student.
Front bencher.
I was a front bencher, so that did okay. But after 10th standard, I was sure that I didn't want to study more, and I was really interested in drawing and art, and that got me to Chitrakala Parishad in Bangalore. Which was that was my first experience of open learning, in a way, that from a formal structured school system to getting into a fine art college, which was very open, and we had a lot of time to explore different things on campus, outside, and I was exposed to a lot of new things. And I studied in Chitrakala Parishad for 5 years immediately after 10th standard, and that's about where my formal education stops. But everything I did after that really has nothing much to do with either my schooling or my college education, I think. I did a little bit of graphic design and advertising, but that didn't last too long. And Alaru happened. When Alaru was born, I took a break from work of all kinds. And then I got into food blogging, and that took me to food photography. And again, that is something that really consumed me for many years. After which Adya was born. And I think through the process, both of us didn't really have a salaried job, and our degrees, formal education was not really put to use for employment sake. So when we had our kids, we knew that that is not what we are after. It didn't really matter if they were going to go to a school or get degrees or anything, because me having gone to a school felt like I didn't want my kids to go through that, and him not having gone to a formal school also felt the same. So, we kind of, that's where we were when Alaru was 3-4 years old, which is when I first learned about Aarohi, actually, instantly going back. That's when Aarohi was Genie Kids in Indranagar. And we learned about Aarohi community. And that was the time when I also personally connected with a lot of homeschoolers and unschoolers in Bangalore, in different parts of India, Pune, Mumbai. We met lots and lots of homeschoolers at that point. And personally, that really helped us. When Ratnesh is talking about community, that's what really helped us at that point, to know that there were a lot of other families out there who felt the same as us. There were lots of other kids who were on a similar journey of, not going to school, and that definitely helped us. And then in between, a couple of years of schooling happened for Alaru, which she partly enjoyed. There were some things that she really liked about school. There were some things that she didn't like about school. And Ravindra and I always had a conversation about how we are going to keep schooling as an optional concept for kids. And it would be an open thing which they can choose to if they want to. But if they weren't happy, we were going to be always ready to, give them an option of being homeschooled or any other learning method that they want to choose for themselves. And then the pandemic hit, and all the kids were dropping out of school and staying at home. And past 1 year has been the same for us as well. And then we reconnected with Aarohi a few months back, and Aarohi X has been happening. And I must say that it's just so refreshingly good to be back in touch with the community, and also so lovely to have meet other parents with young children who are looking at homeschooling or alternative paths of education, open learning for their children and for them as a family. And when Ratnesh said that, we should talk to everybody and introduce ourselves to the community, we were very excited about it. So that is where we are. Ratnesh, have we covered? How are we on time?
Yeah.
Time is not at all a concern. Would you also like to talk about how you got into this current, whatever you guys are both up to, designing, making, producing?
Right.
Because that's also part of open learning or open living, I would say.
Yes, it is.
So when Alaru was born, I think Chinmayie got into the whole alternative thinking of especially motherhood, the pregnancy, post-pregnancy, everything.
Changed us a lot.
Yeah, I think Chinmayie had a lot of questioning about children at that time. So with Alaru, we started looking at alternative things, questioning about schooling, how kids should be, how to raise kids.
I think every aspect of not just for kids, even for ourselves, about our lifestyle choices and what do we want to do, how much time do we want to spend with our children. These kind of changes started happening, and then Adya happened. And
so
then
we were looking at, we wanted to make sure that children had to be with us, and at the same time, still, how do we, still be
make
free?
a living.
Then we learned about carriers when Alaru was born, and we did get a carrier. But then we knew there was something wrong with this carrier because she wasn't comfortable, and it's supposed to make your life easy, but it just made our lives hell.
So for those of you who have no idea, I mean, just to introduce the concept of baby carriers, in which you carry the baby on your body, not a stroller or a car seat kind of an equipment. This is something where it's like a sling made out of cloth in which you carry babies. Traditionally has been part of almost all cultures where mothers have carried their babies. And this is what we, as parents who were really interested in attachment parenting, who wanted to carry our babies close to us, were introduced to this concept, which I was completely, in love with, and Ravindra really enjoyed as well. And when we had Adya, that was when, we felt like a product like that did not exist in Indian market at that time. This is 7 years ago. And really out of, just as another idea, we said, why don't we make it and sell it in India? We have great textile here and we know how this product works and it looks like great and we should do it.
So at that point, both Chinmayie and I have no background either in textile, fashion, stitching, or business.
Yeah, none of it.
Nothing.
Marketing.
We just like the concepts of baby wearing. And we said, hey, other parents should also go through this. I mean, he loved it. I'm sure they will also love it. But the product wasn't that good. And that's when we said, let's make a product that suits the Indian market. We figured out what the challenges were because Aarohi was so unhappy. And we said, yeah, these are the challenges.
And Adya was our live model and, the...
Poor chap, we had to use him as a tester.
But we were going through this, all these new experiences with him. And it made such an impact on our life. And it changed me as a person completely. And that, I think, really drove us with our company, which is called Soul. And we make baby carriers. And we have been doing that for 7 years now. And Soul started something as a very small idea at home where, we just got a few slings, he put together. In fact, we made a Facebook page for it and we decided we'll sell it and see what happens. And Ravindra helped us do a website.
E-commerce site. So I think our design skills definitely helped us at that point.
Yeah.
We thought it was just a website, but then everybody said
our design skills. And also, for me, I was already a food blogger at that point, and I was using social media extensively. I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, and I was connected with the food community. And the homeschooling community, who are all interested in alternate ways of living.
Right.
And I think that community really, took up to this concept of baby carriers, and it just spread like that.
Right.
What started really small, slowly started growing and got bigger, which we really, really enjoyed. And it gave us the time to be with our kids because we could take turn here, and I could be home or he could be home, or work from home, take our babies along with us, carry Adya on my back and go for a shoot. And, he could do the same. He could choose to be at home and spend more time with the kids because it was something that we both could do together. And that is the story of Soul, which we continue to do. And I think that has...
No, I think also we grew so fast, so big, which both of us never imagined or even questioned it when it was growing. We grew so big that we had 5 offices around the world, and people were like, we are MBA people and you guys are not even business guys. What the hell are you doing? How are you doing this?
I have to mention this. 2 days back when I was in Aarohi campus, Aditi was suing something and she had some problem with the machine. She was asking me if I know it. And I said, I don't. And she's like, oh my God, you are in the textile industry.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because we have all these assumptions about who can do what and what you need to be good at to do something and what kind of economic background you should have. Or, assumptions like this, which is mostly our own fear, I think, coming into play here.
So while we started the business and we knew because of our alternative thinking and caring for the environment, not just the physical environment, the people everywhere, we made sure the product was touching various points from the people who worked with us to the textile manufacturer, or it could be anybody. And also
I can see so many messages right now saying Soul, glad to hear that you're part of Soul.
So we made sure from day one we never used plastics. Again, coming from the design background, we knew what kind of packaging to do, how much chemical were being used. So we made sure we cut down as much as possible. We learned
a lot in the process. So like Ravindra mentioned in the beginning, we didn't have any not formal education in any of this.
Yeah.
So now looking back, I realized that that was basically open learning.
It is, and we were curious.
Learning as we were
curious,
doing
questioning
things.
about everything that was happening. So that really helped us, grow.
And our kids were part of the entire process. They have seen their parents
Yeah.
go through all these things. They've been in and out of situations and school and not, and now Aarohi. So somewhere I do realize that it's been a journey for all four of us together as a family. We've all influenced each other hugely, of course. And we draw energy from each other a lot. And we are right now in a space where Alaru at age 12 can talk to us about what she wants to learn or not, what her fears are about not going to school or going to school. And we know that
herself,
this is a process. We are just in the learning process, which is just called life.
Right, and we've just opened the windows for her. She comes and talks about anything, literally. There's no taboo about you should talk about this. She comes and talks about her body, the changes that are going in her body, and she's so open about it. I think that's where we.
And she has loved being part of Aarohi community, of course, and being in the campus, which is now opening up so many more opportunities and doors for her in terms of meeting more people and connecting with new things.
So that's our business. Yeah.
Amazing. This has been a beautiful half an hour. I've been like totally enthralled listening to both.
Thank you so much. I realize we're saying all these things for the first time. I think we have not spoken so much about any of these things with you.
Oh, superb. And now we have captured it, recorded it. I'm going to throw it all over the world.
I'm shy, so don't do that.
No, I'm just joking. Okay. So there we go. Guys, you have to ask questions, especially if you want to understand from them how, whatever, degree is not important or whatever are your fears, questions about open learning, about children. Yeah, so please use chat. Please come on mic. Please shoot them questions.
Please. I'm not used to this kind of environment, where chat's happening, videos happening, I'm talking, seeing myself. So,
yeah. So over to all of you. Please ask your questions.
Wow.
I guess no. People are taking a little time to think through this.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I've been listening to you. It's been nice to know about your journey through open learning and your accomplishment in being creative. One specific thing about both of you are you come from a creative class. I mean, in the sense that you had the opportunity to express what you like, right? But why the conventional education still is persistent? The reason is for economic reasons. Okay, for economic reasons in the sense that they can't take the risk like some of the creative professionals or creative people do it. Okay, because there's no sense of fear, right? So that's the reason why you can venture into many things, which may be a problem for people with a weaker economic background. There's another debate which goes on, which I'm also part of. I'm basically an educator. I teach in the universities. Okay, and the other debate which is going on is between North and South. So many of the education which you see in India, it's British education. Okay, and it has got a style of doing things and style of working on it, and there is a and then people who go through that and they become successful, or the power shift happens there. Okay, so there is one aspect there where it is because of what we mean by success is that makes that system more successful. Okay, now coming to the question, All the school of thought, like you said, Valley School, you have similarly in Ravindra in Pondicherry, you have a school in Shantiniketan by Tagore schools. So all have the same philosophy. Okay, all have the same philosophy. That is, self-realization is the main journey. So it could be done as an individual, or it could be done as a collective, and the same thing you transmit to your child, same thing you transmit to your children, to your students. So the whole idea is self-realization. Okay, that's what the Gurukul system does. And that makes us unique and makes us, every child is an individual. It's unique. So with that, I leave it open now.
Sure. Can I answer this?
Yes, you can.
Is that Satyanarayan?
Yes.
Hi. So I'll tell you, you spoke about the economic background. Again, I'll go back to where I came from. My father, mother, they had 5 children. My eldest brother is a handicapped. My dad was working in agriculture university. Didn't have money at all. I went to, my dad was helping Ramakrishna Ashram, just free work. He likes to do, not as religious or anything, but just he used to help them. I went and took loan. Every month I would go to Ramakrishna Ashram and take loan from them, go pay the school fee. So I didn't come from a economic background. It's just that I lucked out for, my dad had read about philosophy, J. Krishnamurti philosophy. He comes from a very poor background as well. He comes from an agriculture family. He from a village. He moved into Bangalore because he really liked studying, and he put my brother and myself to Valley, thinking that that they will become the so-called success. But I was the black sheep. So the first question that you asked about economy, no, I didn't have anything. We didn't have anything. Came from lower middle class. The so-called journey that I have had is the wealth that you're talking of, the economic wealth, is something that we created it, not because I wanted to create it, it just happened to come. All along, I think the schooling that what I took back was go behind what you really are passionate about. And I just kept doing my work. It didn't matter whether I had money or not. I've had instances where I had to walk kilometers because I didn't have petrol to put in my TVS 50, which was my father's. So it's not so easy. I mean, I've had my own hardships, and I think it's a misconception that today, yes, Valley is a pricey school, probably because of people like us who went out and made it into a brand. But I think what the school did to me was go behind your passion and really do what you really like. And it doesn't matter whether you're poor or not poor. I think that's where the education system I saw failed, where it wasn't.
I also have something to add to it whenever you're done with
right.
it.
So I think that's my take on the conventional system as to why they're always focusing on one particular aspect, which is success. What is success? Let's even question that. But these questions are not asked. And I think I was lucky enough, I lucked out really to have been in Valley School.
In your case, having the ability or opportunity or whatever that was to go to Valley was the privilege that you had. Whereas in my case, it's I completely acknowledge all my privileges of being in a middle class, having access to school itself, and having a comfortable life. Though we weren't obviously rich by any means, but we are definitely comfortable. And I didn't have the privilege of going to a learning space which was alternative at all, which is something that I had to work on when I was 15, 16, when I chose to go to Chitrakala Parishad, which was at that point at least it was something that was questioned by a lot of people, because I wasn't choosing medical or engineering, or I was a bright student. I could have done anything else like most other my friends did, or my relatives would do, most kids would do. So I had to face that. But I wasn't really into academics so much at that point, or at least I felt so at that point. And I felt like I wanted to do fine art and I didn't study. But I did have some privileges which gave me access to these things, to be able to come from a small town like Puttur to a city like Bangalore, and to be able to live here and, do the things that I did. I do accept that I did have that. But I think, like, going back to what Ravindra was saying, when you define your success only with how much money you earn or any of those things, that's when I think it becomes harder for people to look at it as not a race you're in. But I do accept that there is a space for all kinds of there's a space for school as well. It is having access to a community, or having even access to the concept of open learning, is a privilege that some of us have over others, which I'm very grateful for. And I think a place like Aarohi, for example, opens that up to a wider audience than before, even a few decades back. I'm sure that's Ratnesh and Aditi saw that need and space. And I can see how beautifully they're creating that, where they are accommodating people of all ages and backgrounds to come and learn together. And it really, it gives you so much more freedom in the way you look at life itself, when you take these barriers off. Ratnesh, is there anything to, I'm sorry,
one simple example about my daughter, when she was 2, we just said, let's send her down the road. There was a play home, and she was in the classroom, and she said, I want to eat. And the teacher said, no, shut up, just sit. You can't eat now. And Alaru came back and she said, look, I was hungry. Why can't I eat? So if you start defining, saying it has to be in slots, everything has to be in slots, you've lost it. That whole, child growing up is completely gone. I don't think that we need to always put everything in these boxes and that's the path. No, that is not the path. There's so much more.
Satyanarayan, sorry, did we answer your question? Are we covering what you had
Yes,
questions?
I really appreciate your journey, and I really appreciate how much you give importance to open learning, because I'm very much part of that school.
Sure.
Of open
Satyanarayan,
learning.
yeah, I would need to take more people's questions. So sorry,
Yes,
I'm cutting it. And Neha has been wanting, and Parul has also written in a question. So Neha, if you're okay, we'll take Parul's question, and then Neha wanted to say something. Parul's question is, what was your issue in Valley School? That is also sort of alternate education, I suppose. So I guess she's more meaning to say why after. So you did finish Valley School, right?
No, I did.
Finish.
So it was after 12th that you felt that I don't need to continue the education.
There is no issue in Valley School per se. I mean, he had a great time there, and that is what I think made him decide on alternative ways of schooling or education for the children.
Maybe Valley had engineering, I would have done it, and my father would have been very happy. But I didn't.
It was I think schooling after Valley.
Yeah, it was. When I came into the Valley, like a little bubble. We all were a community, family. We were 120 kids from first to 12th standard.
So this is a real world that people are talking about.
World.
About being in alternative education space, and then saying
Coming
that when these kids come to real worlds, which requires degrees and certificates and
it was a shocker to me.
What do you do? That's this story.
I come from Valley was 100 acres and 120 kids. And here I just go to one college and they're like, 5,000, what is that? I just can't wrap myself to that. It started there.
So that is Parul's question
I
answered,
hope.
I hope.
Yeah. I think Neha wanted to share something. Go ahead, Neha.
So I actually have 2 questions. One is for Ravindra. As a designer, as a professional in the creative field, how is it that you battled when people would ask you for degree? Because I know, coming from a film background myself, the whole concept of are you from NID, Srishti, or a film school, and like all of that. So that is like a very personal question I want to ask you, because I'm sure you must have faced that. The second question is for the both of you, that if you could just kind of take us through the day in the life of both of your children, like, like a teenager and a toddler, how does the day flow? I'm asking this because I myself am kind of, in the continuum, as Ratnesh puts it, that we've been in the alternate education field, like from Montessori to Waldorf, but there's still a kind of an institution that you go to, and there is a curriculum or a structure to the day. And being creative people, we had a lot of trouble following structure because we are erratic like that.
Right.
And then the school will say, why hasn't your child slept on time and done this or done that? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm lazy myself like that. But I'm sure that there is still a structure, even if you are open schooling and children are at home. So if you could kind of help us, like, take us through the day, it just helps understand what's the beauty in a day like that.
Sure.
Well,
first question to you.
To begin with, look, for us, there was no competition. I learned, my life through my schooling was always, there's no competition. We never had running race and said, oh, you're first, second. There was no gold medal. When I came out to the world, I never thought of anything as competition, right? So when you're constantly pounded and hammered and made into say, look, compete, 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 I never had that. So I wasn't even competing with anybody. It's just that I went about, it didn't matter. I was never, whether I had degree, didn't have degree, I didn't care. It was just, I like what I'm doing and I'm putting all my effort into it. And strangely, it was better than theirs. Because when I designed a house, I could actually explain every aspect, like why you take one step there. You might call it Vastu or you might call it, certain energies and whatnot. But it's just that when you actually design this house, I feel that I'm walking through it and I see, why is this space supposed to be this? So I was never competing with anybody.
Yeah, but she's specifically asking about those who, people where it mattered and they asked you why you didn't have those degrees.
Because I didn't like it. I was made fun of when I was doing architecture. When I had my tech company, the defense guys were like, are you PhD? I was like, no. Are you masters? Where do you masters? I said, I don't have masters.
But I think, Neha, at one point people do recognize
no, they don't.
Your work.
No, wait. In the industry, the so-called real world, they really don't recognize you at all. I've been made fun of when I was an architect. I was made fun of when I was doing my tech company. They all said, you're just 12th standard and you're trying to sell a product that's going to helicopters. Today, almost all the helicopters in the world are using the product that I developed. I got all the certification. I said, look, whatever certificate you want, I've got it here. Why can't you accept me? Yes, it's a huge, huge challenge. But that's not what stopped me. It's not, I didn't go with my certificates or anything. I went with my product.
But I think also on that note, I think things are changing so fast now. We are talking about a few decades back.
Yeah,
I think now there's a huge change. Even in the mainstream spaces, it's not unheard of for young kids to change their interests and profession and career path. And people are into a lot more self-directed learning and a little less, I think, expectation on degrees also. I would like to assume so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know how that space is right now. But having said that, we obviously are hopeful that things are better also for our children, because we don't know if they're going to be getting degrees or not, which is, I think, answers your second question, which is about what their day is like. Shall I take it or do you want to answer?
No.
Okay, so Alaru is she's not a very academically inclined person. Okay, so when a lot of people are looking at homeschooling or unschooling, your first thought is recreating school at home, which would include, covering your syllabus and having your subjects. And, that's one way of looking at homeschooling. And Alaru and that was also one way I looked at it back when she was 3 or 4. And a lot of these things have changed over the years based on what our children have showed us as what they want to do and what their interests and strengths are and what they don't want to do. And Alaru thinks that she didn't want to do. Reading and writing and structure and rules and boundaries weren't really for her. She was
I saw myself in her, so that's when I said, you know,
she
you
was
need to
very
go
creative.
easy on it.
Yeah. She would just spend hours in her room painting and drawing and with craft, but she wouldn't spend hours reading. You know, these were all, so when I'm talking about it being a journey, these are all the things that we are also, you know, going through, and these are not the things that we knew or expected. So that's when we said that, okay, we don't want to, obviously if she didn't want to do reading and writing, we weren't going to force her to do it. So, but eventually through the years, of course, she has learned reading and writing. Some basic skills like that are, you know, she's working on it at least. She's right now 11 years old. She likes to crochet. She likes to do a lot of craft work. So she spends a lot of time doing that. She is newly taken up to basketball. So she plays that in the evening. She hula hoops, she plays music, listens to music, talks to friends, and watches a lot of YouTube videos about different craft things, which she likes to do. So she's a very hands-on person doing things all the time. Her room is always a mess. There's things everywhere, and that's Alaru. And Adya is very, very different.
Like
He's very different from Alaru, and his days look very different. He wakes up early and he's out of the bed and he's very, very active, and he likes to cycle, he likes to run, he likes to jump and skateboard, waveboard. These are the things he likes, and he spends a lot of time doing that. And when we're talking about, I think, open learning, a part of this journey was also to see what their needs were and work on our life around it. So when we realized Adya, when Adya was around 3 or 4, we were in the city. We were living in a city house, and we realized Adya really needed that space to be outside, you know, to be able to cycle and run, to expend his energy, physical energy. And Alaru also wanted to make more friends. She was in a place where she didn't want to go to school. She was very clear, but she wanted to make friends and be with other kids. Which is when we moved out of our city house that we were living in and moved into a Good Earth, which he mentioned. It's a community, a gated community, where she got to meet a lot of kids, and that has a huge role in how our children spend their day to day. Because we live in a place where there's a lot of space for them to be out, they get to actually be outside. They don't have to be within 4 walls all the time. We have an amazing community with lots of children and adults who are very helpful. So our kids get to be with all these people. So it's not necessary that it's just the 4 of us all the time.
There's a lot of learning happening from there.
Yeah, but there is very little structure in the sense of we are not keeping a track of if they are learning certain things as much as their peers in school, or you know, is there enough structure, are they disciplined enough? And these are the concepts which have been you know, things that we are working on ourselves to understand these concepts in us and our children, and how we choose to spend our day every day. It's been a journey, and I think for all of us it's not very rigid, you know. From even for us as adults, we've had times when we've been sucked into work and been very busy with hectic days. We have also had phases where we have chosen to take it slow, like right now, where we are deciding to slow down and step down and say that, you know, we want to do more of this and not this. So our kids have been part of this. When we were busy, they saw us busy like that, and now they also see us choosing to not be busy. So our days really have been very different, and right now we are just, you know, taking it very easy, and there's hardly any structure to their day. Of course, now that Aarohi X is happening, Alaru is getting into some sort of structure, but she isn't on a schedule actually.
Right. I hope.
Yeah, thank you. It's almost, it's more than 6 o'clock. So are you guys okay for hanging on for some more time and take more questions?
Yeah, okay, if there are more questions. But
Yeah, there are more questions. Akila wants to go. I think Satyanarayan has more questions, and I'm sure there are more people with more questions. So I just want to know first, how are you placed in terms of time? Are you good?
No problem.
No problem. Great. Awesome. Go ahead. Please ask questions. And please don't raise hands. We will all get to ask them questions. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sure.
Yeah,
Great.
hi.
So this is, no, please go on. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. This is Akila here. I have been. My first son has been doing Montessori since for 4 years, and now he's into regular schooling. So that's something. And since he's at home and doing a lot of homework and writing at home, I'm like, this is too much for him, and I think we are like thinking he should spend more time. So that's when we thought of exploring open schooling and homeschooling or unschooling. But since you have been into this for some time, and this is one thought when we have been researching, it came up to our mind. I'm fine to homeschool or open school my kid, but what if if he wants to, pursue a career in medical or something where he needs a formal education? How can he, once he's in his teens, if he wants to do that, what should we do about it? Maybe you might have, you might have an idea about this.
Yes. In today's world, the amount of alternative ways of achieving anything there is so much out there.
And specifically to answer your question, in terms of medical, like any other, it can be any profession here, medical being an example. If it requires a degree, and then if that requires you to do your +2, and then if that requires you to have your 10th standard exam, your children will choose to do that because that's what they want.
It's not like I can't tell my son or daughter, say, go to medical or become an engineer. Tomorrow, if they really want to do, I'm sure as parents we'll help and being with
do
Aarohi,
our best, of course, whatever we can.
Community like Aarohi, we're going to help them. And if somebody is, like I said, somebody is really passionate about what they want to do, there are no boundaries. There is no competition. It is just them. They're going to find their path. They're going to go discover that. I think as parents, community like Aarohi is just facilitate them. I don't think we want to sit on their heads and say, be this or that.
Yeah. Just in case.
To answer, yes, you can take exams. I'm sure Ratnesh should be able to obviously answer this question. I think this is the most commonly asked question also. But it is possible for sure.
No, simple thing. IGNO. If you're 18, you can take IGNO. You can start your degree there. Get your graduation. You can do it on that. You can even take up medical also through Open University. There are various places that offer.
And we have to have I think somewhere we have to have the faith that if our children really want to do something, they will find a way. And we will be there to support them, however
And
possible.
we are also telling them it's okay to fail. And it's not that everybody is a success. It's fine. Just try and be happy. It's not really about what is success and all that. Failures are also equally important.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I was just, thinking what, they shouldn't be asking us a question like you didn't give a formal education and.
I do understand. Actually, that was one of the biggest concerns I had personally, where, your children can question you tomorrow, right? They can ask you, why is it that I wasn't sent to school? And that's when I realized that, there's no real way there's no guarantee that no matter which path you choose, there's no guarantee that your kids are going to be happy with the path you have chosen for them. Because my parents did whatever they thought was best for me. And I don't hold that against them,
No, but I think that what we are doing right now is to have constant communication with them. Keep that communication going on. Like today also, Aarohi and I were driving and we had a talk about where she wants to go in the future. What is your intent? Do you want to get into formal education? What do you want to do? So this constant talking really helps them. And I think it grounds the relationship that you have with your child. When like my dad was very stubborn that I had to do certain things.
That which he thought was good for him.
It really built barriers between us and he was not willing to listen. So when there's no communication, you end up having problems. But here we're constantly talking to them. So we're hoping that it's not going to be an issue because we're constantly talking to Aarohi right now. Adya is still too small. But there will be questions. There will be at some point like, hey, why did you do this? Or why
And
did you do that?
even at this stage, if she wants to do something else, we would be happy to help her in that. If that requires her to study some textbooks, for example, to get into a school, then we'll see what best we can do to help her. And we hope to continue to do that.
It has to be the self-discovery. I don't want to create that path and say, just go through this.
We have another question there.
Sorry.
So did we, sorry.
I hope it was...
Yeah, somebody else also wanted to come on mic. Please go ahead and then we will take Tina's question. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So there's just one question that I had. First of all, thanks for the inspirational stories. I think one thing which is very difficult to take out of an Indian parent is responsibilities. I think somewhere some of the questions I was listening to were veering that direction, right? And behind every happy journey, there are many conflicts, there are many questions, there are many situations that you have to go through. So while you have been raising your kid through this interesting journey, what are some of the experiences that other parents who are thinking about this be familiar with? Because even when you sit and think today, I'm sure there are great things that you appreciate about what's happening with the kid. And there are a few questions that you'll have about what's going to happen to the future of my kid. So can you talk a little bit about that? Just so we're all familiar with what's happening in your minds.
So two parts to this question. One is the challenges we have had through these years, and the challenges we are, expecting, or our fears or questions we have. Two parts. You want to take we have plenty. So to begin with, it's not, I don't think anybody is ever, nobody's ever sure about everything they're doing, but they're doing something because that feels right to you at that moment, right? Like we have gone with our gut feeling, our instinct on what feels right to us. There are several moments where you will doubt yourself. We have had many, we have spent hours talking about where we are as a family.
Not about education, like when they're going to formal education. No, that was very clear.
Not that, but many other aspects to it. I know we have been thankful that our families, though they might not have always supported it, but we haven't had opposition, and it didn't really matter. That wasn't a barrier we had to really face. But we have had lots of people questioning this, and that becomes really difficult because when you're choosing to send your children to school, not many people are going to ask you these questions at all. About what if they hate their school? What if they come out of school terribly damaged, which happens to a lot of us? Does it kill your creativity, or does it, stop you from a lot of things? These are not the questions people ask. But if you choose not to go to school,
that's when they start.
You will have a lot of people asking, what happens to socialization? Will they not be left out? Right. And these are all the questions which you also start questioning yourself. And these are the situations when I go back to saying that I take a lot of strength from other people who are on this journey together, where you can talk to them. We know that we all have our own challenges. Yes, there are responsibilities, people you have to answer, money you have to earn. There are times when we both have worked, there are times when we have not worked, and then even day-to-day things become difficult. Thankfully for us, when we got really busy with our work with Soul, when we were really expanding, and that I really enjoyed that phase. But thankfully for us at that point, kids were going to this small alternative school close by, which gave us that time. But then when that was not going to happen anymore, we decided to work on our professional work aspect in such a way that we can now make more time for the kids. So we are trying to work around it. There are questions, there are challenges.
Yeah, it is.
Even right now, we don't know if next academic year, if the kids want to go to school, we are at a stage where it's not going to be very easy to get into a school. These are the challenges which will be there. Like Ravindra said, I think we are hoping to deal with them one at a time and find the best solution.
Figuring it out.
But yeah, these are the challenges that we have had. And we definitely expect lot more of these to come.
Right.
And I think we also take that as an opportunity to really work on it more and think about why we are doing it, even though it gets so difficult, on some days. It really matters to us in some way. I think this is something that connects us also for sure, which is where, yes, we have differences within this. There are those conflicts also where one feels something is right, the other might not feel so. Even within this umbrella of alternative education, there are so many rights and wrongs. yes, there are those differences as well.
Yeah, we're going to make mistakes. At least we'll tell it.
Hopefully learn through the process.
Kids will know that, yes, we made a mistake and we're sorry for it. They'll forgive us, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And to put that whole thing in a perspective, that is life, right? If you
That
don't
is
have
right.
challenges, what's the point?
Right.
Right.
true.
I mean, if you get all the answers, it's boring.
Yeah, it's boring. Absolutely.
Let's keep questioning.
Let's find out what happens.
Yeah.
We are those. I was telling Ravindra that when Alaru was 3-4, when I was going to homeschool meetups, we would talk to these parents who had 15, 16-year-old kids and 10, 11 older children. And I would look up to them and be like, oh my God, they've got it all figured out. They know what they're doing with their children. And here we are on the other side now, and it's a different space. I do feel a lot more. I'm not torn inside as much. I feel I'm more at peace with the decision we have made. Yes, but it's definitely not free of challenges and doubts.
And make them also part of the challenge. So the burden is
shared by
They realize
all of
what's
us.
happening.
And so is the joy.
Yeah,
so
is
the
the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep telling people that the journey of open learning is not any easier. It's possibly more challenging, but it's more fun. It's definitely more fun because you are taking the decisions and you are living out all the adventures.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I think Tina is asking in chat about screen usage in your home. She worrying about screen usage. So there you go, one challenge.
Screen usage has, like everybody else, it's been a challenge for us as well. We have had different phases in that. Personally, for me, talking about myself, I was exposed to the concept of unschooling and radical unschooling, and looking at screen time in a new way, looking at technology in a new way pretty early on when Alaru was 3-4. So I thankfully looked at screen as not so much of a nivell thing, but I've had my challenges. Our kids love screen as well.
Yeah.
There are days when they do watch. It is something that we work with them. We try to talk about it. And I think mostly to come up with things which are more exciting than screen is a challenge that you also, have to take on yourself.
I mean, both are kids. They don't have anything to do. They say, okay, let's jump into the
But if there's
iPads
something
or
that is
whatnot.
proposed to them that's more interesting.
Yeah, you tell Adya, let's just go out. He just throws everything and runs. So he needs to be physically doing something. And Alaru also would like to do some craft and all. So it's like, when we were homeschooling, there was a classic example of one gentleman who was talking about a lot of homeschooling, unschooling, and various alternative ways. He said, if you like a particular type of flavor of ice cream, start eating that. I mean, you keep eating so much that one day you'll get sick of it. And we see that with these kids, like, okay, you want to watch your iPad here, go ahead. And after 2 days, they're so sick of it, they want to throw that and go away. The more we try to control, they just want to, figure out what is it that my parents are hiding. I want to see more about that.
It is a battle, though, I think, in some ways, because it can be very, it's easy for all of us, not just children. I think, again, this comes back to our own screen usage, which is something that I am trying to be very conscious about from past few years, because my work involved so much screen time and his work involved so much screen time. But it's about, questioning that whole thing and see that what can we do together as a family to, do something that is a little more interesting than screen, which is not always possible. There are days when, our kids are watching TV or they're watching movies. There are times when we can't be around when they're watching a movie, for example. So it's not always an experience where we are all part of. That also does not happen always, but we try not to, like somebody is mentioning about stemming your parenting attitude, not stemming from fear, but from faith. I think that is something that we try to go by as much as possible. That, we hope that they're getting to do lots of fun things, and screen is one of them.
Again, going back to, if you keep talking about keeping yourself open to them, even if they're watching something on screen, they're honest enough to come and tell, like, I'm probably doing this, I'm doing that.
Have a conversation about, and to make things a learning opportunity also, and not necessarily just a passive consumption of information.
And at times they also need it, and it's okay to just blindly watch something.
Yeah, also. Yeah, hi, I'm so happy to see you here. Also, so many people from my baby wearing journey and soul, which is making it really beautiful for me. Hope I answered your question. But screen time is a challenge for a lot of us. I'm sure a lot of us want to talk about it.
But I think for me, it's more challenging because of the peer pressure, honestly. It's like you get a lot of judgment for letting it happen, and my gut tells me to just let it be. And it kind of fluctuates up and down.
It happens to me as well, even now, every day.
So yeah, it's good. It's just good to hear that perspective from another parent. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Archana is asking if your child says, I want regular school next year, what's your take on it? If school insists entrance, what's the way?
So this is the talk I had with my daughter this morning, and I explained the situation. So I said, there's the alternative school, and I mean, she knows about all these things. So we said one side is alternative, one is just regular. Which side do you think you want to be? And these are the set of things that come, responsibilities that come with alternative, and certain things with the conventional education.
And this is the conversation she initiated after staying in Aarohi campus for 5 days. We just got back last evening.
Yeah. So
and today she spoke about formal schooling. So this is also there. There are all these things that happen.
So it's just that, while I was talking, I just laid things out to her, saying these are the
options.
These are things.
Your
where
question
do you
is
think
if
that you
school
fit
insists on entrance.
Yes,
she has to know that's the path. And
Yeah.
if that is what she
So,
needs to do, she'll have to work on
I
it.
said if there's a particular school, like you mentioned, if there's an entrance exam, you might have to write that, which means if you think that you want to go to this particular school, let's work towards it. I'm with you, and let's make it happen.
Work backwards and say that
Yes.
how do I start today? Or what
said,
do I
so
do
if
tomorrow morning?
You're going to be
work towards
12,
that?
which technically means you're in the 6th grade. And so based on certain schools, you might have to do an exam, might have to learn certain things.
So start with buying textbooks.
Let's start working towards that if you want. And she said, hey, actually, I don't want to do that. Then I said, what's your take on why do you want to go to school? She said, I just want to meet other people. I said, if that's the story, you have Aarohi, you have Good Earth, you have lot. Also try and do other things to make it more interactive with other people.
But I'm sure there are lots of children who choose to do that and choose to do the work required also. Yeah. And that really depends so much on your child's personality and what they want to do.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of examples of homeschooled or unschooled alternative school kids who have done schooling or not done schooling.
Right.
There are all combinations.
Just want to add that in my experience, it's not so difficult to get back to a school if the child really. It's not at all. There's so many schools out there, and it's more of a there's a lot of supply and there is less children. So it's fairly easy.
Here for us, I think that thing that it might not be possible.
Right.
I think sometimes as parents we need to really open up to and hear the children more than trying to listen to myself and trying to impose what I think is right. So just give them that space and hear them out, and it's brilliant. It's not going to be that challenging, but it has its challenges.
Okay, so to be fair to both of you, I think we can take maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Otherwise, this will go on and on.
This is our situation happening, so the light is coming on and off. When it goes off, I think
that's okay. Both of you are fairly radiating, so don't worry. So yeah, a couple of more questions. Whoever has it, please come on mic and you can ask.
All right, I think we're done.
No, there were people asking, some hands were raised. I don't know.
Or maybe we talked so much that we answered questions before they were even asked.
Well, maybe. Okay. Anybody else?
If anybody has any questions for us, or I guess Ratnesh, you.
Okay, so looks like people have lots to soak in because you've really, as somebody said, kind of just shared it from your heart. So there's lots for people to think and take in, and I think that's the most beautiful part, right? Um, Yeah, so we obviously record all of these webinars, and all the 50 odd webinars that we have done in this series over the last almost a year are there on YouTube. So you can go back and listen to them and to other families. And I think that's, as you were mentioning, that's really helpful in the early years when you connect with more and more families. And even if you want to talk to more families who are part of Aarohi community, you can connect with me. I can put you on to more families. So you talk to more families, more people, and that would give you whatever a better idea of what entails in open learning. Okay. Right. So I think we are kind of right now, no more questions. So we can kind of conclude. So whatever, how would you like to conclude? What would you like to kind of seal this off with? What would you like to share as a thought?
I think one thought I must share is about how interacting with you all and being part of the Aarohi community has has brought in another shift in my mind from looking at schooling, homeschooling, unschooling, etc., for the children to making it an open learning thing for us as a family and connecting with community. And personally, what it's making a huge impact on how I'm looking at everything. And I think that has been that's been the best part of this next chapter, I think. And I'm really enjoying this phase, and I feel like it's a new door opening, and I have a lot to explore in this space, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
I'm just learning. I'm still learning. So I'm just going to go on learning till I can. The day I stop learning, I'll just go sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've just put it perfectly. Yeah. It's all about learning. And if the open learning has to start with us learning first and us saying I'm learning, not the children. It's not
and
about
I don't
children.
have fear of failing, and I like it. So if whatever I learn is just me, I'm not out to prove it anybody.
And to understand that the learning is not limited to children, it's for us as well. Even understanding or learning about a concept which is outside of what you already understand as education or schooling. The learning, I think, starts from there to say that, okay, I want to learn what is beyond this. Yes, this is an option, but is there a different way to do it? And can I create that path for myself and my family and my children?
Yeah, and that togetherness is the magic, right? When the whole family is together, all learners, all explorers, all adventurers, and then the fears go away. Then it's just fun. Right, superb. So thank you very much.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. Thank you so much. And this is for everybody else. If you have specific questions about Aarohi or specific about open learning, and you want some logistical or whatever, some information. So I'm still around for some time, and I can answer your questions. If you want, you can stay. If you want to sign out, you can sign out. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Had a wonderful time.
Thank you, Ratnesh. I'm glad we discussed. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Anybody, if you have a question, as I said, I'm around. I can answer if you have anything specific about open learning, unschooling, homeschooling, Aarohi.
Ratnesh, I had a question.
Sure.
Okay, so it's basically about Aarohi X, the online platform.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to understand how. So my child is 7.5. She'll turn 8 very soon.
Okay.
And I want to explore Aarohi X for her and see. We stay in a different city, like we're not in Bangalore, and like you said, it could be done from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could. I've seen some of the videos and I think one of the orientations, but I'm not very sure how it happens. Like, is there a class or it's project based?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so obviously it's neither. But first of all, you have to think that it's not for her. It's for the whole family, right? A community isn't about children. A community is about the families coming together and then doing whatever each one wants to do. So it's not about her. And especially if you're talking about online, a 7-year-old may not even say, I don't want to do this, right? So it has to be more for you to start with, and you connect with other people and you find your common interests, and then you start collaborating and doing things together. So for example, Alaru, who's Chinmayee's and Ravindran's daughter, she likes crochet. So she said, I want to do crochet with others. And so she has started something which is called as a crochet club. And she fixed the time, and now she's there in that time, and other people, and I'm using the word people to indicate they could be children, they could be adults, they join her and they together do crochet. And it obviously depends on whoever is interested in crochet. And they spend, let's say, an hour a week doing crochet, and then over the week, whatever they make, they keep sharing. So we have a sharing platform where we share what each one of us is doing. We use Discord for that. And obviously we meet, when I say we meet, at a community level also we meet, as well as smaller groups meet depending on who is interested in what. So there is like a theater club, there is a history club, there's a dance club, there is a reading club, there's a writers club, there's a crochet club, and so on, right? So it's very, very informal. It's totally driven by who is interested in what, with whom you connect with whom you want to collaborate with, and what you want to do together. So it's not somebody who is driving it, but the whole community is driving itself, creating options, creating opportunities, creating spaces to learn from each other, work with each other, and so on and so forth. So there's different actions happening, and the onus of this action lies totally with the community, not with any one person or any group, but everybody is into it and everybody is trying to be part of it. And how your 7-year-old will connect to this and how you will connect to it is all up to you, right? There isn't a formula, there isn't a structure, there is just the togetherness. If that made some sense. So now you can ask me a follow-up question.
I know it did make a perfect sense. Actually, this I'm so glad you said explained from Aluru's example, and so basically you could probably join it anytime, like
Yes.
starting from April, or and it's fluid like that. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's very, very open. That's why we call it open learning community. The first word about Aarohi is openness. Anybody can join for any amount of time, join for what interests you, how you connect, what you can give to the community, and what you can get from the community. That's what the word community is all about. Everybody gives in, and hence everybody gets, right? So yeah, it's very, very open and totally driven by you in that sense.
Time permitting, I have one more question.
Yeah, I'm there. Don't worry. You can ask as many
We're
questions.
currently in Ahmedabad, and we during the lockdown we had attended the self-directed learning course, the integrated learning.
Okay.
I clearly remember the Nimbu Pani example, and since that day I was like, whenever the campus opens, I do want to visit.
Sure.
And I believe it's opening, and people are like, from what Chinmayie said, I understood that there are people who have started coming back, and
yeah.
So how could a family from Ahmedabad come and visit, and what are the logistics of that?
Yeah, you can come and definitely visit. Obviously, the only thing we are telling anybody coming from far away is just see that, it is safe for you to travel, because things aren't still normal. We all know that. So just ensure or just see if it is safe for you to travel, because there's no emergency that you have to come now. So just see that it's safe for you to travel, and not just for you to travel. When you are coming, traveling, it can affect the others in the community, as in who are others in the campus. So it's purely each family's decision. I'm sure each family is very responsible in their outlook, And that's the only logistical question you will have to ask yourself. Is it safe for us? Is it safe for others? If it's safe, you're most welcome to travel. We are open the whole month of April for people to come and stay here and experience how open learning works. Then we'll be closed in May, and then again, June onwards, we'll be open. So yeah, it's open for anybody actually. And all that information is again available on the website. Just hop on, there is a visit page, there is all that information is there. And obviously you can
see that it said 22nd to 30th. So I thought it's just, you have to be there for the entire duration. Or
no. Any week you can come for any week. Typically we say minimum 1 week, because that if you're coming, at least spend that much time. So minimum 1 week. Obviously maximum is only till end of April right now. And then if you skip May, June onwards, it's again, hopefully it will be open. Hopefully things will not go totally out of hand. So apart from any governmental or pandemic related restrictions from our side, there are no restrictions. But yeah, these times are not normal. So I can't commit to anything, but let's fingers crossed. Let's hope things improve. Yeah, I just want to reinforce, since it's already about 6:30, to everybody that if you have more questions, if you just want to talk more about open learning, if you have your doubts, if your family wants to have a one-to-one conversation, we are always open, always available for you to talk. It's not about Aarohi at all. It's about if you want to take on this journey of open learning or unschooling, whatever word you want to give it. We and all the other families of Aarohi are more than eager to talk, to connect, to share, like how Chinmayie and Ravindra were sharing. Amit, you don't really need to take appointments, but yes, there is a procedure to register and so on. The procedure is a little more elaborate, all because of this pandemic situation. So we are not taking casual walk-in visitors. Yes, you need to at least book a week in advance minimum. And then, you will need to go through certain safety guidelines and stuff like that. So we all, I'm sure, are aware of it and more than ready to accommodate for safety of each one of us. So so there's a small, you can say, procedure to it. But all of that information is there on the websites. Just hop on to aarohilive.org and you will get just go to the visit page. I'll type the link also. You should get all the information. If you don't get, you can call me or connect with us. Let me just put that down for everybody. Sorry. Yeah, that's the link that you can, if you want to visit. If you want to call me, you can call me at this number. If you prefer WhatsApp, you can, let me type Aditi's number. You can WhatsApp to Aditi. Yeah. Okay, so if there's any more questions, I can take that. Otherwise, we can take a pause here. We will be back next Saturday, hopefully with another family. And yeah, talk more about open learning and interact more. Aruna is saying any minimum age. Yeah, Aruna, so the minimum age is 0 and the maximum age is 99. So that's what we say. So if you and your family falls in 0 to 99, then you pretty much can be part of Aarohi. Obviously, 99 is just a joke. I mean, even a 100-year-old will is most welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Ratnesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lakshmi.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a question.
Please.
I plan to visit Aarohi and with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So how would it be that since I'm working, I mean, I know the net, there is the internet and stuff, but how would I manage my work and also be part of the learnings of Aarohi?
Sure, I think you can do that. You can do both. Just don't get too much work. Otherwise, the whole day you'll be doing work and you'll miss all the fun. So bring some work and enjoy the rest of the time doing things with the rest of the community. So that's absolutely fine. There is no issue with that.
Okay.
See, just to give you an idea, what typically happens in Aarohi is that everybody, irrespective of age, everybody plans their day. Okay, this is how my day goes. And in that, you may say, oh, from this, let's say from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm busy with a meeting. That's okay. That's your plan for the day. Somebody else may say from 2 to 4, I am painting and I'm not available. So to me, both of you are same. One is doing some meeting and another one is doing a painting. Both are not available. They're all in their own personal space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, thank you. And how about for my daughter? What I'm particularly looking is that would there be somebody telling her, hello, you need to plan this day, this is how Aarohi works like, or how is it? Because she is,
No,
I mean,
nobody telling her
nobody.
anything. The only thing we will be asking her and asking you and asking everybody and asking ourselves is, what do I want to do today? Or rather, what all I want to do today? And each one of us will think, and initially it may happen. Some of us will say, I don't know. I just want to maybe go with the flow. I'll see what else is happening, who's doing what, and I may end up attaching myself to, oh, he's doing this, oh, she's doing this, and so on. So it's really up to each one of us to imagine our day and then to live our day. And sometimes what we imagine, we don't necessarily live that way. Sometimes little bit matching, sometimes lot matching. And that is the whole journey all about. That is what open learning is all about. You plan or you visualize your day and then you live it. And however it goes, that was your life.
Okay. And I also heard that parents accompanying the child, I mean, for somebody who is trying Aarohi for the first time is compulsory. What if, I mean, she's been telling, I want a break from you parents. So I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way it is, well, I don't know if I may want to use the word compulsory, but I would say it's important that you are also here, not from her point of view. So please tell her that you are not coming there as mom, you're just coming there as one Lakshmi, that's all. And you are gonna do things that you like doing, and she's gonna do things that she's gonna like doing. And maybe you will meet sometimes during the day, and maybe you will meet a lot of times during the day. It will all depend on both of you. But the point is that as a parent, it's important, very important, that you also experience how open learning goes, how each one of us lives that life, right, of a day or of a week. So that is why it is extremely important that you come, not compulsory, but important. Yeah. And also from a child's perspective, there's a kind of a reassurance. Okay, mom is there, though she might be somewhere doing something and I don't need to be around there, but it's good mom or dad is there, at least one of them, or if not both of them. So that's like it's a new place, new people. So it's a kind of a little reassurance also. And I think that helps.
Okay. Yeah. I think.
But the first
Yeah,
point
I
is
think
really
that's it.
important. Yeah. For you to experience it, that's far, far more important.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, which is why you don't come here as mom, you come here as you.
Okay. So I also have something to learn, and I might also offer something.
Sure, and that's
That
true
right?
for your daughter also. She will also have something to learn, and she may also offer something to others.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Thanks a lot.
Age is absolutely irrelevant here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay. Anybody else has a question? I can be still around to answer your questions if you have any. So I'll just wait for a minute. Aruna is asking, how is the food type? I don't know what exactly you mean. Food type is what you eat. It's a community, so we all, whatever, we all plan together, we all accommodate each other, we all support each other, not just with food, with everything. So we cook together, eat together. If somebody needs something, we all support each other, and so on. So food type is everybody types. Right? It's about supporting each other, not just about food, for everything. And that's what community is. Yeah. And there's also, obviously, because you are in a community setting, there's a lot of constant adjusting, accommodating. So there's a lot of flexibility that everybody exhibits, because it's not like that. It's not a restaurant where I can come and say, I want this. Obviously not. So everybody adjusts, accommodates, supports, helps in everything, including food. And it's a lot fun when there's so many people and you cook together and eat together. Oh, Dviji is asking, where am I today? Well, Dviji, I am in, I'm not going to tell you, you figure out. That's a puzzle for you. I'm not so easily telling you.
Are you on campus? Is it on campus? Have I forgotten the campus so much? In 2 months I visited
Well,
it?
that's a little framing magic. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So there's light behind, so you can figure out where am I in the campus.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, again, I'm repeating myself that if there's any questions that you have, this is not the end of it. This is just the beginning. Please feel free to connect with us, send us a mail, send us a WhatsApp, give us a call. And we hope we can support you, guide you, help you with your journey, and get you connected to the community, where the community itself will, obviously, the togetherness helps. Yep. So with that thought, I think let's conclude for today. As I keep saying, pause for today, and we can always connect back. And especially next Saturday, we'll be back with the next webinar with another family to talk about their journey. Yep. So thank you very much for joining us. And bye-bye. Stay safe. Stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.